Hello, good evening. I'm Earl Gibbs, and welcome to Speaking of Everything. And with me, I have a very, very special guest this evening. She was here many, many, many years ago, and it's good to have her back here in the program. It's none other than Dr. Arrindell. How are you doing, Doctor?
I am fine, thank you.
Well, thank you for accepting the invitation. It's been a long time.
That's right, that's right.
So, how long now since you've been practicing medicine on Simradin?
It's about 17 years.
Wow, time go by really fast.
This year, February, is about 17 years.
17 years, wow, it's fast.
Yes.
You know, many of you, sometimes I hear patients speak about doctors, and I hear your patients say how you take such interest in their health. You know, and that's nice to hear because you don't always hear that from a patient
That's
about
true.
a doctor.
Well, if you love the profession, because from a child, I always wanted to be a doctor. So I had a special interest in medicine. I wanted to be a doctor. So I pursue it vigorously.
Okay.
And even at my last exam, I was in interview, like how I'm doing with you now. Like, for instance, you are the patient,
Right.
and I am the doctor. And I was videotaped.
Really?
And for the first videotape, that was my last exam, I failed on one simple thing, a diver under the sea. And I forgot what the question was, but it's something to do with his either with dizziness or something like that. But just one simple thing, I failed. And I had to redo 6 months.
Wow.
Because they check in to see how you're interacting with the patient. And if you have the patient interest central, the patient has rights, and the doctor has rights also. So it's like a balance. You can't go over the bone and help the patient to your own destruction. And at the same time, you're a doctor.
Right.
You are there to help sick people.
Well, but it's quite interesting because not only you are a doctor, your brother's also a doctor.
Yes,
Who was the doctor first, you or your brother?
I am the first.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I have a passion for medicine.
It's also unique. You don't find many families in Simradin where you have two as a doctor. I know there's a family on the French side,
Yes.
Dr. Petty. There are also two brothers that are doctors, right?
Yes.
So how you found the profession so far?
Well, I still love the profession. It's, I really believe if you love your profession, that you would want to quit it. Sometimes every profession has their difficulties and struggles. But it has to do with the human, you know?
Yeah.
And you're constantly busy with humans and all the struggles and trials of humans. And that's why people think to say it's psychology. But it's just about humans. You know, I am a Christian from background.
Yes.
And there's a lot of things in life that I had questions about. So the Bible gave me answers on those things.
So you think your Christian background helped a lot?
Oh, yes, definitely. So it talks not only about doctrine, but it tells you why certain things in the world are the way it is, which we call politics.
Right.
So that's why it became real. Real.
And I noticed you taking quite an interest in politics these days.
Yes. Because it's like the Bible come alive, you know? You come back to St. Martin, you want to practice as a doctor, and every doctor had the same problem. You couldn't get paid properly. So if all the doctors are here before me, and they have that problem, if a doctor here already 20 years before me, most likely he's already a millionaire. But I was struggling because I just came back. So it takes a lot of, to me, like the Jacob story. I don't know if you know the Jacob story.
Yeah.
He went to another country and he do all that for bob and wheel, you know, to survive, you know. That's the beauty of the thing.
But I remember when you came back, it wasn't easy, you remember?
It wasn't easy. But if I didn't know the Bible, I probably would have given up and probably go back to Holland. But since I know it's a challenge, and I study this Bible, I realized that, you know, you got to know how to bob and wheel and beat it, you know. As the Dutch will say, you moet het ijzer smeden als het heet is.
That's true.
So that's something I said, well, you know, you have to do it now, else you would never again, you know.
So if you don't hit that iron when it's hot, you're in trouble.
Exactly.
But before I ask you about your current views and everything else, for young people watching this program, would you have any advice if they want to like go and study or stay in St. Martin or come back to St. Martin because they also watch the show on the internet?
Mm-hmm. Well, studying is always good. It's always good because knowledge increases your perspective and your chances in life. Mm. But it's something that if you come from a poor background, you don't always understand that there's competition in the market, yeah, and there's interest. And again, that's where the Solomon story came in, as I told you.
Right.
I understand there's interest. Because as when you grow up as a poor person, you always think it's the government, do it. You don't know better because the government is who you vote for, the person.
Right.
But you didn't realize if you drive in a car and you pay the insurance, somebody owns an insurance company. You didn't realize when you go to the pharmacy to buy your medicine, somebody run a pharmacy. So it's interest.
So you got to realize where the interest lies.
You got to realize where the interest lies.
And you know, the thing is that, you know, the Bible is a powerful book, and I always tell people the Bible really was the first law book too, when you look at the Bible, how it is, you know, and it has a story for everything in life.
A story for everything.
And I've read some of your letters to the editor.
Yeah.
And what concerns you most today on this island since you've been, you know, practicing medicine? You said for some 17 years now, you've seen people from all walks of life. Sometimes probably you see patients that are really down and out, have very little money, no work. But how you see St. Martin? Because it appears like a pressure pot on a lot of people.
It is a pressure pot. Because I said when I came back, that's what I'm saying, the Bible is the book of life. I go into doctor's meeting once in every 2 months, and the problem always, this one didn't get paid, this one didn't get paid. So then I started to do the math. You know, I decided, hey, I can't take this thing serious because even they didn't get paid, a lot of them are already millionaires. So the one who's going to go wrong is Dr. Arrindell. So you got to work hard, beat the iron before when it's hot. So I did the normal thing that the Bible say, you go and spy out the land. You got your doctor knowledge, you got the Bible knowledge. Because I never gave up studying the Bible. I learned a lot from the internet Bible study and also from Seventh Adventists. So I never gave it up. And even though I walk in ignorance, I was able to survive in an evil world simply because of the Bible. But when you come back to St. Martin, you didn't realize how difficult it is in this country because you have a lot of people and a lot of them in need. So when I went around and I see all over the area in Dutch Quarter and KB, Middle Region, I said it's almost an impossible task.
Right, yeah.
And I said, now I understand why doctors can't get paid. So I wasn't blaming anyone, but I said, well, this is the way how we see it. You can solve this problem. A lot of the poor people in St. Martin still don't want to believe that they're poor. That's the problem.
Really?
They don't want to believe it. You know, we still want to live like sometimes the people in Western countries. And that's why I'm saying a lot of people should be living in Belvedere or Hope Estate because that is what they could afford. But a lot of these poor people sometimes have some big mansions, and that's where the problem goes. You know, so I think it's a mentality change we need in St. Martin.
What you just said there is going to shock a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a mentality change.
You said a lot of poor people still live in mansions.
Yes, yes, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's hard for some people to believe.
Yes, yes, yes. So there is where I said, oh, that's the problem. So it's a reality check. Because now when I came back and I had to take out a loan, I realized why it was almost an impossible task. Because a hungry man is an angry man. And if you live in a mansion and you got to beg, just like the man down in the ghetto in Dutch Quarter, then I started to say, well, the man in the ghetto in Dutch Quarter looks better. No, I will pray. I'm not talking any lie.
I know. When you put it, you know, it's, I've never had it been put like
so
this.
So that's why I said, let me go down to Dutch Quarter to get to, because it's these people that cause problem. And I said, the only way you can solve this problem, if you have to bring affordable medicine, because a lot of people was walking around with maybe stuff that Michael Jackson would buy. So that's where the problem, if you're from the ghetto, how can you have medicine that Michael Jackson will afford? You know, that's where the problem lies. And when I start to fight him on affordable medicine, there is where everybody attacked me.
Really?
There's where everybody, yes. Wow. I say affordable medicine for the poor, affordable medicine for the poor. Of course, if you're rich, then maybe if you have to buy blood pressure tablets and diabetes tablets for $500, that wouldn't trouble you. But why would a man in the ghetto have blood pressure tablets and diabetes tablets for $500 a month? And if there is no proper tax collection, you know, that's where I come in with the taxes and where it became controversial. So no proper taxation, and there's where I say the interest. Because if I'm rich, why would I want to pay tax for a poor man in the ghetto?
Yeah.
But if you have a government and a poor man vote Labor,
yeah,
then I will have to do something on the person from the rich to pay a little tax. But if there's no government and I'm rich and I got an education, which is maybe, what you will say, in the United States system, it might be the Republicans against maybe the Democrats. In Holland, it will be Labour Party against the establishment, VVD. So indeed, if you don't have a proper government and I am establishment, I got the knowledge, I got the money. Why would I fight for you? Because you're voting for people who don't care about you. Yeah, it's interest.
Wow.
So after I came back, I realized, okay, that's the problem. But after many years, I come to that conclusion. After many years.
And were you able to convince others about the affordable medication for the poor?
Well, let's say hindsight is so mistakenly easy. Because if you don't give the poor people affordable medicine, you will get Iraq and Syria and Burundi and Rwanda, very unstable country, very unstable. So if you is a government in power, if you are a government in power, you better know what you're doing. Because if you want to keep stability and you continue to give them expensive medication, you can't pick up your garbage. You can't bury the poor dead people. You can't give them affordable school. Somewhere things gonna start again. So you have to cut back somehow. You have to cut back. Or you have to hate the rich. But people don't hate the rich so easy.
That's difficult.
Yeah.
But then, doctor, a lot of people that I speak with, and sometimes poor people, say they don't want generic medicine. They feel that generic medication is no good. Okay. Is that the right way for people to think?
Well, I don't think so. But even if I had that belief, the Dutch say something that is slicken of sticken, right? So it's something I learned in life. A half of bread is better than nothing at all. So if you are poor and you want to dictate to people who got money, you got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're doing.
So you have no problem with generic medication?
Well, absolutely not. That's what I prescribe in England. This is what normal for me to prescribe in England. I only go for expensive medicine if, for instance, the patient have a contraindication.
Oh, okay.
So if I customer giving you ibuprofen and it causes you a lot of stomach upset, I might go for Arcoxia in that instance.
Yeah.
Or Celebrex. But as long as ibuprofen works, I should not go for Celebrex. And that is why the video consultation in my 3 years of training for general practice, that was the key of failing or passing. So not only consulting with the patient how you react with them, but also what you prescribe them. And if you give them information on side effects, and if it doesn't work out, you come back in a month or you come back in a week. That was very important as a doctor.
Well, Dr. Arrindell, I have to go to a break, right? When we come back, we'll continue with Dr. Arrindell right here on Speaking of Everything.
At Nagico, the things that matter to you matter to us. Like knowing you're fully covered after an accident, the security of your home and everything in it that means so much to you. And knowing that even when the weather does its worst, you and your family are covered. At Nagico, we're about much more than just insurance. We're about the big things and the small things that mean everything.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
You're watching Speaking of Everything. I'm here with Dr. Arrindell. She's my guest this evening on Speaking of Everything, and we speak with her. Dr. Arrindell, what are some other things that concern you? Because I know you in the last year, you've been very vocal.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. If you don't have a proper government in your country, and Dr. Arrindell comes back as a doctor, preaching the gospel, and she does not, no one calls her crazy or paranoid schizophrenic, you're not preaching the gospel. That's how serious it is.
Yeah.
If you preach it as it ought to be, and no one calls you paranoid schizophrenic, you're not preaching it. You are not preaching it. So you got to know what you are getting into. You got to know.
But you have any plans to we've had doctors in Simran who ran for political office. Do you have any plans in the future? Or?
Well, that's why I'm saying if it's politics you have to go into, you should have a political party that can solve the interests of the country. As I said,
that's tough, doctor.
Yes, as I said, it's interests. So if you go, this is how it works in a lot of these developed countries that have some type of law and order. If I am a doctor, and we got, again, this is what I learned from the Bible, the world great men, the billionaires coming in, you got to know which billionaire have interest in your country. Now, I didn't know that. I know it because of the Bible. Else I would have still been thinking, is the government do that? If I didn't know the Bible and if I didn't study it. The Bible said, Revelation, the merchants of the earth are the world's great men. I said, oh, now I know. These are the billionaires who have interest. So if I'm a doctor, then I learn from the Bible that if you come back to St. Matt and you see a problem, that's what I learned in England too. Yeah. Audit, identify a problem. In St. Martin have a lot of problems. For me to really have solved the problem in St. Martin properly, I had to be part of a political party. And also I had to be Minister of Finance, as I couldn't have done it. For instance, like in St. Kitts, you have Dr. Douglas. Yeah. I guess he's also Minister of Finance. But if I come back controversial, everybody say crazy, so nobody wants to join Dr. Arrindell. But already if you have political parties and they have their own interests, nobody will want to come with Dr. Arrindell because their interest is not my interest.
Exactly.
But they never told us that they didn't have law and order in St. Martin. They never told us that. So they never had law and order. But because the people were still happy, and it's like if you expose something that was there, you reveal something, you become a threat. Because it was never law and order. But if I come back and I expose it, everybody want to shut me up because I becomes a threat. That's what it was. And that's why I use the Bible. Why I use the Bible? Because I realize a lot of these people are what we call Seventh-day Adventists. And as a Seventh-day Adventist, or if you say you are accept Christ as your personal Savior, it's a great responsibility. The reason is because you have to choose sides. You will choose for God, or you choose the side of the world. Now, a lot of us want to be converted Christians and still choosing the side of the world. If I look at Daniel, Daniel was not a politician, but because he was such a blessing to Babylon, which was a heathen, considered heathen empire, anti-Jewish, heathen, Daniel was a blessing, and that's why Nebuchadnezzar took Daniel, because he was an asset to that country. So he didn't run politics, But wherever it was a politician, whoever, they put Daniel up there because he was an asset to the country. He wasn't necessarily in politics. But maybe he was somebody like maybe behind the scenes, advising, something like that. But he wasn't visible as a politician. But because of his great asset, many people knew him. And that's the problem with Christianity. A lot of us want to get up there, join the world, and still say we serving God. But according to the Bible, that's not possible. And that's where you find that most true Christians are the little people on the street.
So you
Those are the ones.
You can't be both, doctor?
You can try it, but
I like how you put it.
But today, it becomes against the interests of God, which is not according to what the Bible says. You have to leave.
So let me ask you, doctor, so what religion are you then?
Well, I really commune or fellowship with Seventh-day Adventists.
Okay.
But a lot of people don't realize that there are three groups in God's camp.
Three groups?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have the real, how you say, the wheat. Those are the real, what we will call them, how you say in Iraq, they will call him can't bring the word for it. And these special Jewish interest group who just go on the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem.
Orthodox Jews?
Orthodox.
Yeah.
You have the Orthodox. You have a large group what we call Laodiceans. They are neither hot nor cold, so they jumps where it fits them. But they can't really stand up for God. And then you have what we call the Tares, which are in there to destroy the whole church.
Wow.
So you got to know who you're dealing with. So if you meet a Seventh-day Adventist, you're a Seventh-day Adventist, you better know who you're dealing with. They can bring you down, they can mash you up, they can rip you apart.
But I like the teaching of the Seventh-day Adventists, especially in terms of how you take care of your body and everything.
It's good teachings, good teachings. But it has to be part of your heart. But if you use it only as a means of going forward, it's not going to work. It's a self-sacrifice. It's still self-sacrifice. That's the only way it will work. And that's why a lot of people is falling away in the last days, because they didn't get it right. They didn't get it right.
I'll tell you what, Doctor, I'm going to go to a quick break. We could come right back. We were almost out of time here with Dr. Arrindell. Right back, please stay with us.
Yes.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
At SXM, we're taking travel and tourism to new heights. Here we boast spacious check-in areas, 10 passport control points, comfortable departure lounges, and an exciting new airport mall. Finally, there's an airport in the Caribbean that takes your travel plans as seriously as you do. Princess Juliana International Airport.
You're watching Oral Gibbs Live. I'm here speaking with Dr. Arrindell. She's my guest this evening here, and speaking of everything, time has moved by so fast. So Doctor, when you look at the situation in St. Martin, we have now church leaders and entering politics for upcoming elections. Is that okay?
Well, I would call it signs of the times. Because as I said, Daniel in Babylon, I don't think he ran for politics. He was probably put up there to advise in a very difficult situation, like we have here in St. Martin.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need people who have insight in the Bible to help solve a problem. And that is where I said I got a little bit cold feet from the church, because they knew I had that talent. I had a talent. They didn't give me the opportunity. I'm not judging, but that's why I tell them, study and look in the mirror. Just look in the mirror. Just read. I should have had that opportunity, because I could have do a lot for St. Martin. But if you're humble enough and they don't want you, you have to accept it. You know why? Give God the glory.
Well, you think it's too late? It's not too late.
I don't think it's not too late, but if a lot of damage has already been done, if I am not God, maybe I still cannot solve it. I don't know how much damage was done.
There's a lot of damage to this island.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And sometimes I wonder how we will get out of it.
Wow.
You know, it's
Wow.
it's getting so bad.
Wow,
And
wow,
the
wow.
problems are enormous.
Wow.
And I don't think the people that are in power and authority sometimes don't want to acknowledge. On the surface,
Yes,
it looks
yes.
really beautiful.
Yes, yes.
When you start to go and dig, then it's very disturbing.
So I am a bit scared that we can have some unrest in this country, some serious unrest.
The
You
thing
see,
is, yeah.
it should have been done a lot earlier. So I'm a bit scared that it can happen.
Well, I hope it don't.
Unless they really start to do some cutting back, a lot more cutting back. You know, I mean, it's,
It's going to have to take the interest of the people more serious.
yes,
And you mentioned earlier about interest, the interest of a few
yes, yes.
over the interest of many
Of the
cannot
majority,
continue. you
yes.
know.
But I thought democracy was majority rules. Unfortunately, it's not.
Yeah. But it's and your practice and you see patients, are they worried? Because I see a lot of, I speak with a lot of people, and most of the problems that people have, they tend to come from problems of worrying about what they'll eat tomorrow.
Exactly. Because I'm saying if you try to live by some faith, what we call faith, and you can say if I can eat at least decently, and I get sick and I die, I mean I have to die someday.
Yeah.
So that's where I was trying to show the people that's how serious it was, that even healthcare should not have been an issue now.
Exactly.
It was just a survival thing. Getting enough to eat, and you have the faith. If you get sick, if the Lord doesn't heal you, He take you out in peace, out of your suffering. You know? Because I'm a doctor, so healthcare was important. But when I saw the social problems,
Yeah.
I said I think food on the table was even more important than healthcare. Food on the table was more important than healthcare.
Wow. And I don't think people realize the problem still, doctor, unfortunately. Yeah. But you know, I have 30 seconds remaining. It's all yours. Anything you want to add in closing?
Well, I can only point people to the Bible and Jesus Christ, who I still convince is the creator of heaven and earth, and who have power enough to do the impossible for the people of this island. So if they are losing hope, I tell them, read the Bible, pray as you never prayed before, because what seems impossible is possible with God. That's all I can say.
Well, doctor, I want to thank you for being my guest this evening, and much success.
Thank you, thank you.
And that's it for now. I'll see you next
Yes,
time right
yes,
here on
yes.
our Speaking of Everything. Till then, good night. Take care. Bye.